Lesson 2, Question 7. The scientific process is invariably non-linear and can be long and drawn out, with hypotheses sitting on the shelf until the time has come to dust them down. If that ever finally arrives, sometimes you sit waiting for the tide to come in, but it never actually does. For every new theory and paper, there are many that fell by the wayside for lack of time, funding, or data. Like the music industry, the hits are few and far between, and don't always come when or from where you expect. It's important not to be discouraged by this. The fact that not every idea comes to fruition isn't a good reason to have fewer of them. Scientific breakthroughs ultimately depend on people working away, without the immediate reward of achieving anything tangible, trying things that don't work, but might still be useful, and devising bits of a solution that won't be relevant until some undefined point in the future. Such patience is the bedrock on which progress is eventually achieved, stitched together from all those loose bits of fabric that could so easily have been discarded. Lesson 2, Question 8. Contingency implies selection and uncertainty. It means that there are a number of possible options to choose from, and our decisions could always be different. However, algorithms by definition do not know uncertainty. They do not choose between possibilities, nor are they creative, being designed to follow the instructions that program their behavior. In this sense, algorithms are not contingent, which is why they can operate so efficiently and reliably. Just like traditional machines, we expect algorithms to be neither unpredictable nor idiosyncratic, even when they deliver information. Different watches should all indicate the same time to all users. If they work properly, as von Förster observed, if the outcome of a traditional machine becomes unpredictable, we do not think that it is creative or original. We think that it is broken. We do not care about the moods, nor the perspectives of machines, only about their results. We repair them precisely to restore their predictability. Lesson 2, Question 9. Pleasure as conscious enjoyment of our sensory endowment, enhanced by the capacity both to anticipate and to remember it, heightens enjoyment in the moment of listening to music, eating good food, dancing, swimming, sunbathing, and so variously on. Enjoyment in the moment is the greater. For not being subjected to intellectual analysis as it occurs obviously, we do better to leave it to unfold as purely itself. But it is equally obvious that reflection on the nature and sources of pleasure is not irrelevant to their best enjoyment. The pleasure of a half-hour listening to music is the greater because the music was chosen. The quality of sound reproduction is good. Anticipation and expectation were engaged, and one prepared oneself to listen. Think of the informative contrast here. How pain or discomfort is exacerbated by fearful anticipation. The tense dental patient, who has been dreading the drill for days, has a worse time than a relaxed patient. The key to seeing pleasure as a good is to see how it fits into an overall conception of the life worth living. This is how the ill consequences of certain types of pleasures of the moment discount them as options. Lesson 2, Question 10. The sciences do make extensive use of idealizations. The ideal gas law describes the relationship of pressure, volume, and temperature of gases under conditions that never perfectly obtain. In particular, it makes simplifying assumptions about the molecules making up gases, for example, that they do not attract or repel one another, and do not themselves take up volume. The molecules of real gases are not like this, but their behavior is nonetheless close enough to ideal ones that the gas law is useful. Indeed, there are philosophers of science who argue that this is the best way to think about scientific theories in general. They are best regarded as models that are precisely accurate, only under conditions that are never entirely realized. Even on such views, however, the theories are still meant to be descriptive. They are to be used to make predictions and offer explanations about the behavior of gases, or whatever phenomena are at issue in real situations. There are, accordingly, constraints as to how idealized they can be. They cannot be so far removed from real-world systems as to be worthless in describing actual phenomena with acceptable degrees of accuracy. Lesson 2, Question 11. What is true is that regret happens when we view a large world problem, like a small world problem. In a small world where all choices, consequences, and probabilities are known, we can be certain about how much we would have won. If only we had picked a different horse in a race or chosen different numbers in the lottery. However, in a large world where not all choices, consequences, and probabilities are known, we can never truly compare the choices we made with those we didn't make. We can never know what would have happened if we had taken another job, or married another person, or moved to another city, because those scenarios don't play out without us. So when we conjure up regrets about what might have been, we are comparing what we know to what we don't know. What's worse is that, much like the upward social comparisons we make on social media, we torture ourselves with how the realities of our situation stack up against an imagined ideal. Lesson 2, Question 12. The emotional tenor of our conversations may be particularly important in a child's early years. Indeed, family dialogues from decades past may still be influencing your mental health today. To understand why, we need a quick primer on the development of our autobiographical memories. In the first few years of life, most children can remember only the slimmest pieces of their experiences, the feel of sand on the beach and the prick of a needle in a doctor's surgery. These may get more detailed as the child learns more and more vocabulary, but they are largely disconnected from each other. They remain isolated sketches of single events. It is only after years of development that the child can slot their recollections into a narrative that has a coherent structure. By the end of adolescence, that narrative may adopt the form of a novel. The teen will start to recognize key events as turning points with new chapters that represent new eras. The psychologist Dan McAdams at Northwestern University in Illinois describes this as the transition from actor to author